When I listed my old Pearl drum set on Facebook Marketplace, I wasn't thinking about safety protocols. I was thinking about the empty balance in my bank account. It was a bulky 5-piece kit plus cymbals, listed for a measly $300. Within an hour, I got a message from a profile named Greg. He had no profile picture, just a low-resolution, pixelated landscape photo. The messages were minimal. Still available? I want it. He offered an extra $50 if I would deliver it, claiming his pickup truck was in the shop and his son's birthday was the next day. $50 was a significant amount for a broke college student, enough to drown out the little voice in my head that usually insists on public, well-lit meeting spots. I agreed to deliver. The address he provided was in a respectable suburb about 30 minutes away from my apartment. It was a neighborhood of big, expensive colonial houses and manicured lawns, which initially quieted my paranoia. I loaded the drums into my small hatchback, a challenging feat, and drove out. It was 8 p.m. in late October, well after sunset, and the neighborhood was eerily quiet. I pulled up to the address. It was a large, 2-story colonial at the very end of a secluded cul-de-sac. But unlike the other houses, this one was completely dark. No porch light, no lights in the windows. The driveway was empty. It felt wrong, like the house was holding its breath. I stopped the car at the curb, leaving the engine running. I texted Greg, "I'm here. House is dark? Just making sure I have the right address." He replied instantly, cutting the tension with unsettling speed. "Back door's open. Just bring them into the sunroom around back. Son's asleep. Don't ring. Cash is on the small table by the door." Red flags snapped into the night air. Why was the house dark if he was home? Why was the back door wide open? A stranger asking me to step inside felt fundamentally dangerous. I typed back, feeling a surge of nervous adrenaline. "I'm not comfortable coming inside a dark house. I'll unload them and leave them in the driveway. You can grab them from there and leave the cash on my hood." The 3 dots appeared immediately, vanished, then reappeared for a full, agonizing minute. I sat there, my stomach tight, watching the empty, dark windows. Then the message came. "Please, I have a severe back issue. I truly can't lift the pieces from the driveway. Just inside the door. The sunroom is right there. It will literally take 2 seconds. I'm waiting." I sat in the cold car, arguing with myself. I needed the money. It was just inside the door. I convinced myself that in a neighborhood this nice, it had to be a genuine inconvenience. I compromised. I turned off the car, grabbed the heavy snare drum and its stand, my heaviest piece, and walked up the gravel drive. I left my phone set to the flashlight function in my back pocket. The atmosphere was heavy. The only sounds were the distant chime of wind chimes and the loud crunch of my shoes on the gravel. I walked around the side of the garage toward the backyard. The back patio light finally allowed me to see the glass door. It was slightly ajar, as he claimed. Through the glass, I could clearly see a small, cheap folding table, and on the table, a neat stack of bills. I stepped onto the stone patio, relieved that the sight of the money seemed to confirm his story. I reached for the handle, ready to drop the drum and bolt back to the car. And that's when my cheap, solar-powered motion sensor floodlight, the one I'd thrown in the hatchback for extra peace of mind and never used, clicked on. The light violently flooded the small, enclosed backyard. Standing directly to my left, pressed flat against the dark siding of the house, where I'd been completely blind, was a man. He was wearing a clear plastic painter's poncho that glistened eerily under the light. His face was pale and slick with sweat, and in his right hand, held low against his thigh, was a large, heavy, menacing hammer. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring intensely at the glass door, waiting for me to step through it so he could silently come up behind me. I dropped the snare drum. It hit the stone patio with a deafening, metallic crash that sliced through the night stillness. The man snapped his head toward me. His eyes went wide, not with fear, but with cold, sudden anger at the disruption. He raised a finger to his lips, his mouth pulling into a tight, terrible frown. "Shh," he hissed, his eyes burning into mine. I ran. I dropped the stand, sprinted back through the yard, scrambled over a low, broken wooden fence, and didn't stop until my car door slammed shut behind me. I fumbled the key into the ignition, locked the doors, and slammed the gas pedal to the floor, fishtailing on the slick gravel. As my headlights swept across the front yard, I saw him again. He was standing motionless on the lawn, the hammer dangling, his silhouette framed in the light, just watching me leave. I sped out of there and called 911 from a brightly lit gas station 10 minutes away. The police investigated. They found the house had been foreclosed and vacant for 6 months. The back door was indeed forced open with a small crowbar. The cash on the table was a stack of useless Monopoly money topped with a real $5 bill, just enough to look convincing through the glass. The worst detail, the one that replays in my mind every time I sell anything online, was what the police found inside the sunroom. The entire floor had been covered with a massive, heavy-duty blue tarp, and next to it was a full roll of new, industrial-strength duct tape. Greg didn't want the drum set. He wanted a disposable delivery service. I've worked the graveyard shift at the Interstate 95 toll plaza for the last 3 years. It's a job that sounds excruciatingly boring to most people, and 99% of the time it is. But the boredom is safe. Booth 4, my regular spot, is the loneliest lane, positioned flush against the tall, imposing pines of the state forest. My entire reality during those 8 hours is reduced to the scent of stale, microwave coffee, the headache-inducing, ceaseless hum of the mercury vapor highway lights, and the heavy, damp breath of the forest pressing against the thin glass of my enclosure. I learned to love the monotony. It was predictable. This was last November, a Tuesday morning around 3:30 a.m. The air was heavy and cold. Snow had been falling just long enough to slick the asphalt, and the thick, white fog was hanging so low it felt like I could reach out and touch the clouds. I hadn't seen a car in nearly 45 minutes. I was half dozing, trying to force myself through the last chapter of a cheap thriller novel, when the headlights finally cut the fog in the distance, slow and methodical. A beat-up gray sedan rolled into my lane. It didn't stop at the window, though. It stopped abruptly, a deliberate maneuver, about 20 feet short, right at the edge of the sensor strip that triggers the toll display. I leaned forward in my chair, annoyed by the break-in routine. I keyed the microphone. "Sir, you need to pull forward to pay the toll." The only reply was the wet, rattling sound of the car's engine idling. It sounded broken, like a lung full of water, loose and struggling. I waited a full minute. The silence felt suddenly aggressive. The sedan's windows were tinted a deep, illegal black. It was a void on wheels, reflecting back the glare of my own booth light. I felt my first jolt of real paranoia. Was this a test? A joke? I tried the mic again, my voice hardening, forcing a note of authority. "This is a paid lane. You must move up or back out. I'm contacting security." Then, the driver's door cracked open. The interior dome light did not activate, which felt significant. A man emerged. He was extraordinarily tall, easily 6'5", and swallowed by an oversized, heavy parka that looked out of place for the slight freeze. A dark baseball cap was pulled so low that the bill threw his entire face into absolute shadow. He didn't glance at the booth. He walked to the trunk and opened it. My hand immediately dropped, finding the smooth, worn plastic of the silent panic button beneath my desk. I slapped it once, hard. 10 minutes, I calculated. That's how long it would take the state troopers. I just had to keep the glass between us and stall. But he didn't approach the booth. He rummaged in the trunk for a moment, and when he straightened up, he was holding something long and heavy. It looked exactly like a tire iron, My blood turned to ice, but I held my position. Then he did the unthinkable. He walked to the passenger side of his own sedan. He gripped the iron two-handed, pulled back, and swung. Smash, smash, crack. The sound of the violence cut through the silence of the night's membrane, so loud my ears rang. Glass splintered, but the heavy tint held most of the pieces in place. "Hey!" I yelled, finally cracking the booth door open a fraction. "Stop! The police are coming! I've called them!" He froze, mid-swing. Then slowly, deliberately, he turned. The harsh sodium lights carved through his cap's shadow, and I saw his expression clearly. He was smiling. It wasn't relief or even rage. It was a wide, stretched, ecstatic grimace that thinned the air into something unbreathable, pure malevolence and victory combined. He dropped the iron, slid into the driver's seat, leaving the door open, and gunned the engine. The car roared, and he tore through the toll arm. The wooden barrier snapped like a twig, the pieces scattering across the road. I collapsed into my chair, shaking so violently I couldn't hold the phone. I finally managed to call the supervisor and relayed the license plate number, stuttering over the words. While I waited, I kept staring at the broken arm. I had to wipe the condensation off the glass, convinced I was hallucinating movement in the residual fog. Trooper Miller arrived 10 minutes later. He was calm and methodical. We pulled up the security footage, black and white, grainy, but clear enough for the purpose. He played the segment, then stopped it right as the driver exited the car. "Rewind," Miller said, his voice low and serious. "Look at the back seat." I hadn't seen it in the moment. The tint was too dark, too distracting. But the camera, utilizing infrared or something beyond my comprehension, could penetrate the rear window just enough. As the man stepped out, a small, pale hand pressed desperately against the back glass. Palm flat, fingers splayed, a silent plea for help. The hand vanished the moment the man lifted the hammer. He hadn't been breaking into anything. He'd been demonstrating power, showing whoever was trapped back there that resistance was useless, and that the only thing waiting for them was more violence. He was cementing their fear. They found the car 2 hours later, abandoned in a ditch 5 miles north. The trunk was open, empty. The driver and the person in the back were gone. I quit that week. The toll booth was decommissioned a month later, replaced by an electronic reader. Now every gray sedan I see in my rearview mirror brings back the phantom weight of that panic button under my thumb. The sound of breaking glass, a plate dropped, a commercial on TV, makes my jaw clench so hard my teeth ache. That smile wasn't for me. It was the victory grin of a predator who had just finalized his plan, and I was merely the inconvenient, terrified witness. The terror isn't the memory of the hammer. It's the realization that what I saw was a practiced, cold-blooded maneuver, a horrific tool of control. My new job as a residential presentation specialist pays me to live in million-dollar homes that won't sell. It's a surreal, necessary evil of the luxury market. I don't buy the houses. I create the illusion of life. Coffee mugs strategically left in sinks, a car placed carefully in the driveway, a shadow in the window at dusk. My presence makes the house feel lived in and approachable to potential buyers. It pays triple what my teaching certificate ever did, and the solitude was initially a bonus. The Harrington House was my 7th assignment, a sprawling 4,000 square foot modernist box of glass and concrete perched on the Oregon coastal hills, listed at $1.2 million and empty for 11 months. The agency gave me the key code and one absolute rule: do not enter the locked utility room in the basement. HVAC liability, they'd said with a dismissive wave. The first 3 days were defined by sterile luxury. I'd work from the enormous marble kitchen island, leave half-finished crosswords on the glass coffee table, and walked the perimeter each evening for my required presence patrol. The house was a museum of itself, cold and utterly quiet, save for the low hum of the forced air climate control. But on Thursday, the perfection frayed. I found my favorite distinctive coffee mug, the one with the chipped rim, in the dishwasher. It had a faint, dark smudge of lipstick on the rim, a shade deeper than anything I owned. I sent a concerned email to the agency. I was assured no showings had been scheduled. Probably a contractor, the coordinator replied. The sellers have a standing inspection agreement. Yet the smart home log, which I monitored obsessively, showed no entries, and all the sleek, minimal windows were locked from the inside. That night, the subtle tapping began, rhythmic, deliberate, like a fingernail hitting a wooden surface, from the ceiling directly above the master bedroom. The house had radiant floor heating, so there were no hot water pipes in the walls or ceiling. I stood on the bed, pressed my palm to the smooth drywall. The tapping stopped immediately. Then, directly beneath my hand, the wall felt as if it breathed. A microscopic expansion and contraction of space. A faint, hot exhalation. I stepped back, prickling all over. Modern concrete structures don't breathe. I remembered the agency mentioning the previous specialist had left abruptly. A woman named Sarah Chen, family emergency. I found her name in the security portal's history. Her final report was a blank document. Friday morning, the shower was undeniably wet. I knew with an absolute certainty that bypassed logic that the glass had been bone dry when I'd left for my morning perimeter walk. Now it glistened, beads of water running down the sleek panels, and there was a single dark hair on the tile. Too long, too straight to be mine, carefully curled at the end. I called the agency's emergency line, getting only annoyance. We'll send someone Monday. This is probably a system glitch. You're too isolated. But I could hear the hesitation in the coordinator's voice. The silence on the line spoke volumes. That night, I didn't sleep in the master bedroom. I sat in the living room, knife from the kitchen block resting on the sofa arm, my laptop open to the house's internal security feed. 8 high-definition cameras, all showing empty, expensive rooms. At 3:17 a.m., the camera aimed at the kitchen island glitched. For 3 frames, less than a tenth of a second, a woman in a gray hoodie appeared at the island, her back to the camera, hair pulled into a loose bun. Then the screen was empty kitchen again. I spent 20 minutes rewinding, frame by frame, isolating the micro glitch. The figure was the same every time. I grabbed the knife and went to the island. The marble was slick and cool beneath my fingers. I scanned the area, heart pounding a violent rhythm. Nothing. But on the stool where the figure had appeared, perfectly centered, was a single, small, yellow post-it note. The handwriting was neat, slightly cramped. It read, "You're using the wrong mug. Buyers prefer the blue ones by the window. Also, you leave the main hall light on too long, wastes electricity. Fix it." I dropped the knife. It clattered uselessly on the marble floor. This wasn't a ghost. This was a critique. I ran barefoot down the half-mile drive, scrambling across the slick, dewy lawn, my mind fractured. I didn't stop until a delivery truck passed at dawn and I flagged it down, hysterical. When the police arrived, they found the basement utility room, the one labeled HVAC liability, unlocked. Inside, there was a neat but Spartan setup, a clean sleeping bag, a portable toilet, a minimal cooking setup, and a laptop hardwired directly into the house's security system. The liability was Sarah Chen, the previous specialist. They found her bank statements. They showed small, irregular deposits, $50, $75, from the home sellers. They'd never stopped paying her to present the house. She'd been living in the walls for 8 weeks, watching me watch the cameras, leaving notes to improve my technique, furious that I was ruining the illusion of a perfect inhabitant. They found her journal. The last entry, dated the day I fled, was cold, professional, and terrifying. The new girl isn't very good, leaves lights on all night, wastes electricity. I'll have to speak with management, or better yet, find a way to teach her myself. They caught her 2 days later. She had already moved into another empty property 3 miles away, leaving faint, dark lipstick marks on the bathroom cabinets there. She wasn't trying to scare me, she was training her replacement. Now when I take these jobs, I tap the drywall, listening for the hollow sound. I check every access panel, and I never use the mugs they leave in the cabinets. I know there's always someone watching to see if I'm doing it right, waiting for me to fail.